CEO of Wounded Warrior Project, Mike Linnington. And we also have a very special guest from Wounded Warrior Project who's going to talk to us about healthy eating and habits, and that's James Herrera. But a few housekeeping notes before we officially get started. I wanted to let everybody know that we're going to record today's broadcast so that it can be shared with military and veteran caregivers through our Hidden Heroes Caregiver Community. And for any caregivers who've joined us today and haven't yet registered, please visit hiddenheroes.org. Now, one more thing before we get started. Everyone except for our panelists is muted, but we'd love to hear from you. So please use the chat function of today's webinar and send us your questions, your input, your ideas. We want to know what's on your mind. So now, without any further ado, we'll get started. Hello and welcome to the Caregiver Community Connection Facebook Live, webinar, Zoom. We've got it all today and we're so excited to have you here with us. Joining me today is the CEO of the Elizabeth Dole Foundation, Steve Schwab, and the CEO of Wounded Warrior Project, Mike Linnington. Steve, why don't you tell us what we're doing here today on this special Taco Tuesday Cinco de Mayo?
Jennifer, thanks so much. It's really a pleasure and an honor to be connected with so many of you around the country. The world has changed in the last 6 to 7 weeks. All of us have taken our work and our home lives and our daily interactions into our home. And that means we've needed to work harder to maintain a connection with military and veteran families all across the country. And so we reached out to our friends at Wounded Warrior Project a couple of weeks ago, and we said that we knew that our caregivers needed support and help connecting online, finding resources, finding entertainment for the kids, recreational activities for the family, and Wounded Warrior Project stepped right up. They've powered this new series that we're launching today called C3. The aim is to empower, equip, and educate caregivers. We plan to do just that, and starting today, we're going to equip you with healthy eating tacos. So Jennifer, we're really excited to get this webinar kicked off. Mike is an incredible leader and a great friend, and Wounded Warrior Project does so much to support warriors and caregivers, and we're just thrilled to be working with them. And we want to thank the Department of Veterans Affairs, who is an important partner as well. And there are a lot of folks with us on this webinar today, and the VA has ensured that folks all over the country know how they can connect and be part of a community while they're at home.
That's fantastic, Steve. And I think it's really important for caregivers to have something fun too, and maybe something that can involve their families or their veteran. So just excited to be a part of this and excited that you have been able to join us from your family home in upstate New York. Is that right?
That's right. I'm going to introduce two special people who are with me today. First, my mother, Nancy. I came to...
Hi,
Nancy. She's got her Cinco de Mayo shirt on. I'm with my parents in upstate New York in Rochester, where I'm from. I live in Washington, D.C., where the Dole Foundation is based. But when the virus became as serious as it has become and quarantine was required, I said, am I going to sit here by myself, or am I going to go be with folks that I can see on a daily basis? And I'm doing what a lot of, I know, military families and other folks around the country are doing, and that's sheltering in place with their family. I also have my nephew here, Matthew, who's sheltering with us.
Hi, Matthew.
Matthew Schwab is a chef, and so Matthew's helped us get our recipes ready for today, and we're really excited to share the little cuisine that we've put together here in our little abode in Rochester.
Now, Steve, first, thank you for giving caregivers a glimpse into your life. It's not often that we get to go behind the scenes with the CEO of a national service organization, so we appreciate that. Now, second question, did you have to talk your family into this?
No, I really didn't. I got to tell you, we're pretty excited to do anything these days, right? So it's been a flurry of activity here over the last couple of days getting ready. We decorated the kitchen. We found some sombreros in the basement. We got our tequila out and made some margaritas. So this has kind of brought the energy level up in the house, and we're hoping that we can impart some knowledge and tactics and fun skills into those viewers who are watching. So we're just really, really psyched to be part of it.
Now, one of our viewers from Atlanta wants to know if those are little hot sauce bottles on Matthew's shirt.
Yes, they are.
They are hot sauce bottles, that's right.
The chat room is going just wild right now. So we're so excited to have people here, literally from across the country, from New York to Atlanta, California. Hello, Ohio. We're just so thankful for everyone to join us and have a little fun today. Now, Nancy, we're coming back to your kitchen in just a moment, but I'm going to take us now to the Linnington's kitchen in Jacksonville, Florida, where we have Mike Linnington, who's the CEO of Wounded Warrior Project, and his lovely wife. Hello.
Hi, Jennifer. How are you?
I'm doing great. We're hanging in there, and we're excited to learn how to make some tacos today. But more importantly, we're just excited to come together with some members of our community and share some time together during this socially isolating period that's just kind of foreign to all of us, right?
Right. And Jennifer, thanks so much for hosting this. And Steve, certainly to you and Elizabeth Dole and the entire Elizabeth Dole Foundation, the VA. I mean, what you do day in and day out in helping our nation's hidden heroes, our military and veteran caregivers, perform the vital service they do in caring for our wounded, injured, and ill service members. I mean, you can't measure the positive impact of that. And as you said, the last 8 weeks has really been kind of really out of the normal for all of us. I mean, having to physically isolate ourselves from each other, it's abnormal. We're social creatures. We love that physical interaction. Luckily, we found ways through the magic of the internet and some really great social connection tools to stay connected, but it's just not the same. And for wounded warriors in particular, I mean, not having the ability to interact with each other and sharing that camaraderie and cohesion they had when they were in uniform, and after they've transitioned, that's particularly devastating. And then you have the whole uncertainty of a virus and furloughs and layoffs and financial difficulties and all the rest of it. I mean, it's really, really a tough time. And it's tough on our caregivers in particular. I mean, May is the month of the military caregiver. It is Cinco de Mayo. It's May 5th. It's Tuesday. It's Taco Tuesday. I'm here with my professional chef, who I've been married to for 39 years.
Aww.
He broke out the professional chef, so I've got my sous chef. Actually, it's really the other way around. Brenda's been schooling me for about a week on the meal we're going to prepare tonight, and hopefully you find it as festive and as wonderful as all of you are. So thanks for sharing your home with all of us. And I can't thank the Elizabeth Dole Foundation, Steve Schwab especially, for your leadership, Steve, and the positive impact you're making on caregivers and military caregivers and families all across the country. So really happy to be with you from our home in Jacksonville, and I look forward to the rest of the program.
Thanks, Mike. It's so great to get a glimpse behind the scenes of the CEO of Wounded Warrior Project and his better half, and we can't wait to see what you're going to cook for us. But you're right. This has been a stressful time for so many of us. Caregivers and veterans who have had to change how they access their health care. Some of our most severely wounded warriors who are high risk and are having to isolate even more and cut back the care that comes to their home. And so giving everybody just an hour to have a little fun, I think, is a much needed break. Now, if there's one thing that we know about caregivers, it's that they're resilient and they're there for each other. And so I'm wondering, Mike, if you might share a story of a veteran who's shown perhaps who's a really great example of showing resiliency during this time.
Yeah, thanks, Jennifer. And the warrior I'd like to talk about today is a warrior that we just got to know through our independence program, and his name is Doug. As many of the folks on this program certainly know today, Wounded Warrior provides an independence program which provides critical in-home care for many of our nation's more seriously wounded, ill, and injured service members. And the warrior I'm talking about today is an Air Force veteran who has recently overcome 2 bouts of brain cancer and is currently in remission, and his name is Doug. As a result of the cancer in his treatment, Doug is really struggling, especially during the period of COVID isolation and staying connected with his brothers and sisters in arms and really finding ways to stay connected. So Doug reached out to us for help. We connected him with some of our community providers and certainly with care from the Elizabeth Dole Foundation. He's found ways to re-engage with from a remote area with some gaming and some drone technology. And he's reconnected with his brothers in arms as he continues to worry about raising his family, providing for his children, and being there for his spouse. So Doug's attitude is really what's getting him through this really difficult period. And he's also served as a role model for other veterans. And that's really what it's all about. At Wounded Warrior Project, we say it's called living the logo. At one point in a warrior's life, they need help, usually being carried off the battlefield or in their treatment or rehabilitation. And then later on, as that warrior continues to heal and progress, in many cases, they become the resilient warrior that's helping other warriors that are struggling with different phases of their own recovery. And certainly for warriors that are critically wounded, the caregiver is truly the hidden hero that helps those warriors through those difficult times. So today we're dedicating our Cinco de Mayo feast to Warrior Doug, and we hope that his cancer stays in remission and he continues to be a role model and a mentor for other warriors in need.
Well, I'm so humbled by that story, Mike, and I know we're all behind Doug and sending him our thoughts and prayers. And thank you for doing all that you do for our warriors in the Independence Program. My brother is one, and I have to say for the last 15 years, he's shown incredible resiliency. And during this time of uncertainty, he's even teaching me a little bit about it. People often ask, how is your brother doing during social distancing? And I said, well, he's likening it to a deployment. And he asked me the other day, how do you make a deployment go faster? How do you cut it in half? I said, well, James, I don't know. And he said, well, you sleep when you're not on a mission.
You made a very good point too, Jennifer. Many of our warriors that are in our independence program are isolated from their caregivers and some of the services that are being provided. So it's really, I mean, we take day-to-day inconvenience of not being able to get a haircut or go to the beauty salon or go out and do recreational activities or go to the beach. But for many of our warriors that rely on in-home care, not having that physical connection is very difficult for them to overcome it. And that's why their resilience is so important. And that's why this Caregiver Community Connection is so important to help our caregivers perform the vital function they do for our veterans.
Well, we're so excited to have this digital offering, and I don't want to forget to mention that Wounded Warrior Project has almost seamlessly transitioned its programs and services online so that you can meet the needs of the warriors and the family support members that you serve, and that's fantastic.
Thanks, Jennifer.
All right, I'm going to kick it back to Steve now. Steve, we talk about resiliency and we talk about keeping the fire burning when you have so little wood in the pile. And I just want to ask you if you could tell us a story about a caregiver maybe that you know of during this time of crisis.
Yeah, Jennifer, it's really hard for me to, there's been so many stories. And so I'm going to talk about the community sort of at large. You know, the community we support is over 5 million. There's about 5.5 million military and veteran caregivers, young spouses, mothers, dads, siblings, and other loved ones who've given up their lives, their livelihoods to care for their loved one at home. It's a quiet crisis across this country that organizations like ours and Wounded Warrior Project are shining a big light on. And it's inspired by a very personal experience by my boss, Elizabeth Dole, who is tuning in right now with her husband. And we want to wave to Elizabeth and Bob Dole, our inspiration, our North Star for this movement. And, you know, like her, we've seen caregivers stand up in every part of this country to help one another during this crisis. PPEs are scarce right now, personal protective devices, masks, most specifically are hard to come by, gloves, alcohol wipes. These are standard tools that caregivers need in the home every single day, and those supplies have dried up. And what we've seen caregivers do is reach out to other caregivers. We're helping connect caregivers on one part of the country with another part of the country so that they can share their supplies. People are mailing. We have caregivers who are making new beautiful masks for their sisters and brothers. I've just seen this community wrap its arms around one another. It's been really gratifying for me to see that. That's why we have such an energizing, engaging online community, Jennifer, that you administer, so that we can connect folks at times like this. And we've seen that pay off during this pandemic. We've seen everyone take care of each other. And for us, that's the business we're in. That's the impact we want to have. But we're not done working. We're not done listening to what people need. This series is a result of our listening. We did a survey to find out what you need, and you wanted to talk about healthy eating, and you wanted to talk about recreation and mental health. So we're going to do all that over the course of the next several episodes. But right now, we got to get to our tacos.
That's right. And I want to point out, you make a really good point, Steve, when you talk about leaning on each other and connecting with the community. We've seen caregivers shipping supplies to one another so that they can supplement with extras that we have. And we've seen organizations like the Elizabeth Dole Foundation step up to make sure that caregivers' voices are heard even during this time. And that's so very important. But we're also seeing collaboration with partners, the Elizabeth Dole Foundation and Wounded Warrior Project being one. And I just want to ask you, why did you two come together for this Caregiver Community Connection with the VA? What was so important about partnering on this project?
Well, I want to give a big shout out to the VA, who I know Mike would agree. We've had regular weekly phone calls with Secretary Wilkie every Wednesday, where he's updating leaders across the country on the situation that VAs are facing regionally all across the country. Our history with Wounded Warrior Project goes back a long ways. We sort of look through the same lens. We often come to the same answers. Our teams work so seamlessly together that we kind of just said we needed to do this. We figured it out together. We've been staying in really close touch since the start of this pandemic, maybe even in closer touch than we normally do. And members of my team, members of Mike's team dreamed up this idea, and we said, let's go. And by the energy and enthusiasm I'm seeing in the chat room and the attendance that we have today, I think we nailed it. We're just going to have to keep it going. But I know folks want to see us dive in and share our recipes too. But I think, I'd love for Mike to comment too, but I think, this was just a natural thing for us to do.
Yeah, Jennifer, I'll just say quickly, 1 + 1 = 3. When I was in uniform, the strength and readiness of the service member was based on the strength and resilience of the family, and certainly the ability for warriors to recover and rehabilitate after some very difficult times is reliant on the caring nature and the capability of the military and veteran caregivers. So for us, we are one mission. Steve and I talk often, and certainly our organizations are the same family. So I'm very grateful for that. And I can't think of a better partner for Wounded Warrior Project than the Elizabeth Dole Foundation.
Okay, now we have to give away one of those $100 gift cards, because some people are going to watch this today and they're going to want a new skillet. They're going to want to order some home delivery, some food so they can cook up their own tacos. So our very first winner is Sylvia Lopez. So Sylvia Lopez, congratulations. Thank you for tuning in. And now let's talk tacos. Before we start cooking, though, we got to make sure we're going to do things healthy. And to make sure that we're being healthy, we have a very special guest with us. It's James Herrera. James is with Wounded Warrior Project. He's actually the Physical Health and Wellness Director. And I just want to welcome you, James, and ask you can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do for Wounded Warrior Project? Oh. We've got a little sound there, James. You're unmuted, so you're muted there. So let's give this another try. All right, here he comes now. Okay, well, James, we're going to have to come back to you because unfortunately we can't hear you talk, and I really want to hear what you have to say. So we'll keep you posted, and we'll come back in just a moment. Sound good? All right, we got the thumbs up from James. I'm expecting him to just interrupt us when he gets ready. But one of the things that we know is that eating healthy is more important now than ever. When we're under times of stress or having times of change, we often feel that stress physically in our body. And how many people do you know that have been talking about the COVID-19? Yeah, me too. And I have to say, I've had to be really diligent about what I eat and what I do. And so we're going to be mindful today of healthy eating as we cook our tacos. And I want to ask, before we get started, Steve, how would you rate your eating during your time with your family? Are you on a 1? Are you eating chips and ice cream? Or are you on a 10 and you guys are having salads and proteins? And
I think I'm probably like a 6 or 7. My mom is sitting right next to me, and she's the main chef in the quarantine household. She's an amazing cook. So we have very healthy dinners every night. I should say probably more like a 7 or 8. We're eating pretty healthy. A little bit of ice cream after dinner, which is our treat for the day. But no, we're eating pretty healthy here. I think that's important because, we're limited in what we can do.
Well, and a little bit of ice cream never hurt anybody.
Right.
Okay, Mike, now it's your turn. A scale of 1 to 10. You guys eating healthy over there?
I'm a 10.
Brett, my wife's a 10. She eats twigs and beans like James Herrera. For me, it's from dawn till 6 p.m. At 6 p.m., that's my vice right there. It's called the cookie jar. There's only 3 Oreos left.
Who took the cookie from the cookie jar? Mike Linnington.
That was full. Brenda stopped buying them, luckily, but what she doesn't know is I hide more up in the cabinet.
All right, I'm going to see if James is able to join us. James, are you there?
Can you hear me now, Jen?
We can hear you. Welcome, James.
Wonderful. Hey, thanks for having me on, everyone. So my name is James Herrera. I am an Army veteran. Been involved in the fitness and nutrition and sort of lifestyle betterment arena for my entire professional career. Had the opportunity to serve as an Olympic cycling coach for a number of years, and now I have the blessing of being the physical health and wellness programming director with Wounded Warrior Project.
Outstanding. So what do you do normally when you're not when we're not practicing social distancing?
Yeah, so my physical health and wellness teams encompass 3 different programs. The first one, physical health and wellness, actually takes veterans and introduces them to a betterment and healthy lifestyle choices in nutrition, in fitness, and sleep, and other categories. We put them through a 90-day coaching program, hold them accountable, and help them attain their goals. Our Soldier Ride cycling program introduces warriors to cycling of different modalities. So both on the road, we do mountain biking. We've actually introduced some snow events, so we get them involved in ski and snowboarding, but just teaching warriors that getting out and riding and that movement is medicine, right? Very important thing. And then my final program is our adaptive sports team, introduces or reintroduces veterans to adaptive sports programming in different modalities, and then connects them to resources in their community so they can continue to engage with teams in an adaptive sports as a healthy lifestyle practice.
Oh, that's outstanding. I think that being active right now, though, has got to be so much harder than normally when warriors and their caregivers can engage in these wonderful programs.
Yeah, it absolutely can be. But as you mentioned earlier, our teams have been amazing at creating virtual opportunities for warriors to continue to stay engaged. We created a Facebook group where we're offering weekly content in fitness and nutrition and different skill building tactics. We're teaching workouts online using Zoom. We're doing cooking classes, grocery store tours, all sorts of different things just to continue that engagement. And the virtual response has been tremendous. We couldn't be more pleased. And we actually believe we're going to continue to do some of these things beyond the COVID scenario.
Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. One of the things that we hear at the Elizabeth Dole Foundation and at Wounded Warrior Project from caregivers and some of our more severely wounded warriors is that connecting outside of their homes can sometimes be difficult. And I think having opportunities to engage in person and online is just so important to everyone staying connected. If it weren't for all of these online offerings, I know I would feel terribly isolated right now. But one thing I have to ask you, everybody says eat healthy, make better choices, but other than Googling, what's something we can do to find direction for eating healthy?
Yeah, nutrition or healthy nutrition, it can be a very complicated, but truly an easy thing to tackle. I like to often say use the 80% rule, meaning make good choices 80% of the time. I opt to eat a more, I'd say, plant-based type of nutrition strategy where most of the calories that I consume in my day come from plant sources. I think if you're focusing on whole foods and just more close to the source, you're always going to make better choices. A little bit less processed, a little bit less fried, and then just being mindful of total caloric consumption, which is sometimes challenging to do now with COVID and everybody working from home. And now the cookie jar is just within arm's reach or a short walk away. Not pointing any fingers, Mike. But you're going to eat whatever's put in front of you. So whatever things you bring into the house, it's just very easy to get to. So like I said, 80% rule, make good choices 80% of the time. If you can focus more on plant-based sources of nutrition, lots of fruits, lots of veggies, lots of whole grains, legumes, lean protein sources, you're always going to be much better off regardless of what dietary variety you choose. There you go, Mike. Thanks for the prop.
Okay, I have a personal question before we get started in our tutorials.
Sure.
First, can tacos be healthy? And second, I'm finding myself, feeling that my food's a little bland. I don't think I salt it as much as the normal food that I eat out a lot. I have to admit I travel a lot. And so what can I do to make my food tastier without adding salt?
Yeah, so first off, I grew up in a Hispanic household, so tacos were pretty much I'd say a weekly staple, and they can absolutely be a healthy addition to any diet. You're always going to be able to produce lean protein sources in your tacos, including fresh veggies, condiments like salsas and all different types of chilies can add some spice to any taco dish. And then side dishes for tacos are often your rices and your beans and things like that. So tacos can be incredibly healthy. I think it's the total volume of calories or potentially the condiments like the extra sour cream, the extra cheese, things like that, where the calories can start to add up. But tacos are truly an awesome choice. I think our chef might be able to tell us a little bit more about how to spice up a meal or maybe throw some zing in there. But for me, for tacos, I really like different types of salsas to add a little bit of variety.
Well, I love that. Now, James, don't go away. We're going to be coming back to you, but next up, we're going to start cooking tacos. I've got my apron on. I know Mike and Steve do too. We're going to give away one more gift card though. First, congratulations to Valerie Dickey, who's going to win a $100 gift card. Congratulations, Valerie, and stay tuned because we're giving some more away. Now, we're going to head over to Steve's house, the Schwab household in upstate New York. And Steve, I'm excited to find out what Nancy and Michael have talked you into cooking today.
It's Matthew, but
is there a Michael in your family?
There is a Michael.
Okay, I knew that.
So we're gonna follow up on your great question, Jennifer, on can tacos be healthy, because we're gonna challenge the assumption that they can't be, because we have put together a healthy taco recipe, and this is Steve's turkey taco recipe. One of the great things about tacos is they're very versatile. The ingredients that you can utilize, you can use ground beef, ground chicken, ground turkey. I'm using turkey because it's high in protein, it's lean. So I got a really nice lean ground turkey. I want to give a shout out to Wegmans, which if you have Wegmans in your home community, you know it's the best grocery store in the country, and it was born and raised in Rochester, New York. So we're using Wegmans products here. But I'm going to have
a Wegmans in DC, is that correct?
We do. You're gonna bear with me as I move my computer. So we're gonna do some demonstrating over how we're preparing our tacos.
So exciting. We're on the move
One
in
of
the
the
Schwab
things,
kitchen.
one of the benefits of having a chef as a nephew is we're gonna demonstrate some options. If you're a vegetarian and you wanna go healthy, we're sauteing some chickpeas on the stove right now. And Matthew, let's talk about what's the seasoning in the chickpeas.
Yeah, so right here we have like our little seasoning blend, if you can angle it down. So we have some salt right in the center there. There is some garlic powder back here, some dark chili powder, and then some cumin. So that's a very just basic alternative to buying any type of taco seasoning that you could get from the grocery store. If you do have some spices in your cabinet and you're noticing, oh, maybe I haven't used these in, a couple years or so, you could definitely just use this instead of having to buy that packet of taco seasoning. But just keeping in mind with the whole plant-based diet, that is something also that I've been learning about a lot, we're having chickpeas as an alternative here. We also do have some ground turkey that we're going to be sauteing up after. But in addition to that, adding on to some healthier toppings as well.
Yeah, so we're going to move over here to our healthy toppings, and I'm going to put the computer on a stand here so that I can show you what we've prepared for our toppings. We sliced up some radishes. We've got lettuce and queso fresco cheese. This is a great Mexican cheese that you can get at the grocery store, and it crumbles really nicely. It's nice and healthy. And then we chopped up some colored peppers, sweet peppers, and some limes. We've also got some cilantro that I've chopped up on the cutting board right here. And what is my personal favorite, and this is a Matthew specialty, is a grapefruit salad, which is a terrific side for the tacos. So we've got grapefruit, lime juice, red onion, sliced up tomatoes. So you slice the tomatoes and then you cut the slices in quarters. What else do we have in here, Matthew?
We have a couple of questions. Wondering if Matthew can tell us what he sauteed the chickpeas in.
Yes.
Yeah, so that is it's the same taco seasoning that I described before. So it's just the dark chili powder, garlic powder, cumin, salt, and pepper, and then just a little bit of olive oil.
Okay, all right. Now, we have
really, really good, Jennifer, and it smells even better.
I can smell it from here. Now, James, somebody wants to know, what's better, sea salt or regular salt?
Oh, I would tend to gravitate to the sea salt more often than not. I think it's a little bit less processed than if you go get bulk salt. And I always default to, even if I don't truly know the science behind the difference, I always try to default to something that's closer to the source. So that Himalayan sea salt, things like that, that's just a generally good rule for me to follow with nutrition.
Really good information. Thank you, James. Now, Steve, we had another question come in about that grapefruit salad recipe. So I want to let everyone know we're going to share the recipes with you via email after the webinar today. But that's your favorite, that grapefruit salad?
It's amazing. I'm a spicy guy, so I love to spice up my tacos with some Cholula. It's my favorite Mexican hot sauce. You can get this at most grocery stores. And I also like a thick salsa. So we used a thick corn salsa that we can dip our tacos in. Jennifer, I'll show you what the finished product looks like.
Oh, I can't wait.
It's really delicious. I don't know if you can see that well.
Yeah. Are those flour tortillas?
They're floured tortillas. We use floured corn tortillas.
Oh, corn. That's healthier, right, James?
It's healthier.
Corn is a bit healthier, yep.
Yep. And we've got our shredded lettuce and cilantro and peppers and our cheese. The radish is just a little garnish right on the top. You can use your hot sauce and your salsa on the side. But I think this is probably pretty picture perfect for healthy taco eating. We also prepared some black beans and rice. We'll use that as a side. We use brown rice in the spirit of healthy eating, brown rice is my favorite. It's a really healthy rice. Just some salt, pepper, olive oil, and rice and beans. And it's a terrific side.
Now we've had a question come in for Nancy.
Yeah.
Nancy, have you always cooked with your family, or is this something new during the time of physical distancing?
Well, I have 7 boys, and they range from the age of 55 to, I think Christopher's 42. And we have a set of twins.
Oh
So
my.
we have a very busy household, and we work very hard to keep family dinners every night. So I had always a dinner assistant for setting the table. I had a cook assistant for helping me to prep the foods, and then we had somebody that did the dishes. So there were a variety of jobs, and every week that job changed to something else.
Yeah, we had a job chart, a color-coded job chart growing up. Now, I know Mike's an Army household. We're an Army household. My nephew Jacob just left for basic training last week to join the Army. Hooah to the Army. We had an Army military style household growing up where my dad organized us into support for my parents in every way.
Well, you guys are bringing up a good point. Our families are home right now, and many of them are reconnecting in new ways. They're getting organized, they're cooking together, and I just love that. So thank you, Nancy, for sharing a little bit about Steve's growing up. We love that inside look. You guys are giving the Linningtons a run for their money here if this is a contest, because we have so many people in the chat room talking about how delicious your food looks and how healthy it is. So I think it's time to give them a chance. We're gonna pitch it on over to Jacksonville, Florida, and see what the Linningtons are up to.
So we're gonna do taco carnitas tonight. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't know anything about taco carnitas until last night. And I know everything about carnitas now, but I'm gonna let my sous chef here talk about our preparation for this really healthy taco recipe.
So first of all, I'm honored to be here, and I will be this guy's sous chef any day of the week.
Aww.
A lot of fun. We researched a couple of recipes online. Really found most of our stuff on allrecipes.com. A lot of our viewing audience goes to that website. And we've combined a few recipes. So with keeping in mind how to kind of cut calories, we'll kind of focus on the meat. So it's a pork butt roast, and you cut it up, and the spices are very, very simple. We have black pepper and salt and oregano, cumin and chili pepper, and I think the last thing was paprika. So the other thing that we wanted to focus on, if you can see that, one of the
That
things.
looks spicy. Now, James told us if we use spices, we don't have to use so much salt.
That's exactly right. So we do have salt in ours, but it's not an overwhelming amount. But one of the things that we all like, and I know the folks watching this program like, is to be able to use a multi-cooker, Instant Pot, and we have an off label, but we use our multi-cooker. We use that to make this. So we've got the meat cubed and trimmed. That's the pork roast. A little bit of olive oil into the spices, right? And hopefully the chef on the other end is looking at this and saying, yep, she's doing it right.
I think he copied our spices. It looks the same.
Uh-oh.
But Mike, you're gonna have to put the iPad down and come over and massage this meat in here.
So now, have you guys always cooked together? Now, you were both in the military for a long time. That seems like maybe this might be a new thing.
Yeah, so especially when we were younger and we were both on active duty, we really did share a lot of the kitchen duties, and we do now too.
I did wash my hands, Jennifer, so I'm good. So the spices in the meat, and again, this is a 6-pound pork butt that's been trimmed.
Yeah.
Brenda trims it down so it's super lean. And even after we cook it in the pressure cooker, I mean, you should see the fat that comes out of it.
James, is that important to trim the fat off our meat?
You know, leaving a tiny bit on the fat there helps with the cooking process, but it definitely will take out some extra calories of the negative variety if you trim down the meat a bit.
Well, in this thing right here, James, this is what came out of the pot after we cooked it last night, which was pretty incredible.
And we were gonna skim the fat off and just kind of have it at the side if we want it.
Now this goes in this blazing hot pot. Yeah, I don't want to burn this. But honey, why don't you talk about the other stuff that goes in it?
So the other thing about this recipe, again, being calorie conscious as we are, it calls for a little bit of garlic, a little bit of chopped onions, and then orange juice. So we decided and tried it out, and it's delicious, to replace the orange juice, which is high in sugar, right, with lime juice and 2 packs of stevia leaf. Yeah,
That's unique. No sugar.
Half a cup, and we're going to share the recipe because, again, we tweaked this recipe a bit. And we did try it out to make sure it was good, and it's really, really good. And what Mike's doing right now, and hopefully you can see, he's browning the meat. So we like to do that with the multi-cooker, don't we? We like to do that with the
We do like to do that with the multi-cooker. We do.
So, and we like to do that before we pressure cook it, because what's going to happen now that we've got, well, we'll do that
Anyway,
after
the
brown.
meat's brown. I think it's pretty good. I mean,
We're
let's
gonna
get on with the recipe.
we're gonna shift once it's brown, about 6 minutes, and we're gonna pressure cook it for an hour. And once we pressure cook it, it comes out, you shred it, and it's ready for your tacos. And I'm telling you, it's really, really good. Really good.
Well, I want to also mention
Internet,
we
it
have
comes in just like that, which is incredible.
we have a lot of folks who are on the line, and we want to know if they're beginners, if they have some experience. So they'll be receiving a poll pop up on their screen while you're cooking. But I want to ask you, are you guys beginner, experienced, somewhere in the middle?
Well, for us, we're I would say, I mean, we're not beginners. We're too old to be beginners, really. But I would say we're intermediate cookers. I mean, we get on and we watch cooking shows.
Like
I'm
Steve,
not
Steve, I was one of 6 boys in the home of Rita and Jack Linnington, and we had a color-coded chore list as well. So you either had to help with the dinner, help with setting the table, clearing the table, or doing the dishes. I always opted for setting the table, and then I always had to go to the bathroom after dinner, so I didn't have to help with the dishes. But
Oh no, Nancy's shaking her head at that.
and I was number 2, so I wasn't responsible for the chore list. But growing up in a family of 6 boys, you ate what was given to you, or you went hungry. And I'm sure that's the way Steve was raised as well. So the meat is brown. 1 onion, 1 large onion, cubed up. Onion goes in the pressure cooker. Boom. The 3/4 cup of lime juice, 2 stevia packets, and then I say half a finger of squeezed garlic. Fresh garlic's probably better.
Well, we're all making do right now.
Yeah,
We are making do with what we have. I like a little extra garlic. Top on the pressure cooker and 1 hour. Now, if you do this in a slow cooker, it's an 8-hour recipe. But in the pressure cooker, 1 hour, drain off the fat, you're ready to go. So you can do this meal from beginning to end in about an hour and a half.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's an hour and a half you're spending with the love of your life making dinner.
Yes,
The
ma'am.
absolute love of his life. That's exactly right.
And then, like Steve said, you can jazz it up. I mean, we have store-bought medium salsa. We have hot salsa. We have mango peach salsa. Excellent. We have avocado. We have cheese. We knew James was going to be on the call today, so we prepared a little pico.
You did pico de gallo.
Pico de gallo
Very nice.
with fresh tomatoes,
The Schwabs are getting worried now because bringing out the good ingredients. Now, James, I wanted to ask you.
Excellent. You got the tomatoes, 1 full onion, a green pepper, some jalapeno pepper for a little spice, and then of course the cilantro. And then you mix it up, and it's better than anything you buy from the store, as my good friend James Herrera tells me.
I'm sure he would agree that using pineapple, peach, mango, those are all great ways to add some sweetness without sugar.
But if you look at this is as good or better than anything you would buy in the store.
Delicious.
Looks delicious.
Like the black beans on the side as well. Great fiber, just good.
And then for preparation of the tacos, we have, I know James said corn is better. Brenda likes these small flour tortillas, and I like the grande burrito grande from Mexico. So we each have our different version of what goes good on a taco.
I wanted to ask our chef, Matthew, is there a special way that you prepare the tortillas? Do you grill them? Do you put them in the microwave? How do you get those warm at the restaurant?
So if I'm going to be cooking them myself at home, sometimes I'll go all the way and I'll buy the corn mesa and make the tortillas myself. I have a tortilla press at home. And then usually you would just heat them up in a pan nice and quick. But today we got the quick and easy. We got the corn tortillas from the store. And then my thing is I usually wet a paper towel, wring it out a little bit so it's not sopping wet, pop it over the top of the tortillas, put them on a microwave safe plate, and put them in the microwave for about 20 seconds.
That's so easy. We can all do that.
I put mine in the toaster. I do.
Brenda puts hers in the toaster. Okay, so how's it going over there, Linnington?
Good.
So we're putting some of the seasoned, really super tender pork butt, the carnitas. We're going to use the fresh pico de gallo because it is really spectacular. And then we just jazz up the top with a little bit of
Whatever, yeah.
I like the avocado. I like the avocado salad. And frankly, you can use cut avocado as well on top, and then a little bit of cheese on top of that. I know that's unhealthy, James, but I think you got to put a little cheese on top, just because you got to keep up the protein, the milk products. And there's our taco, ready to roll up and stuff down your throat.
Taco Tuesday throwdown. I'm telling you, I don't know which one to pick. If we had to pick a winner, I think it's a tie.
I think it's a tie too. I think this shows you, Jennifer, why tacos are so great, right? They're versatile. You can different regions of the country have different traditions. There may be an Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine, and Coast Guard tradition. But yeah, we all have our own slant.
Now we're asking our audience today if they would vote. Whose tacos would they try? Mike's, Steve's, or maybe both? And guess what, guys? I have another winner to announce. James Brownfield is our next winner of a $100 gift certificate to Amazon. So congratulations, James, and thanks for tuning in. We hope you picked something up from these recipes. We're going to share the results of the poll with you at the end of the show. James, I'd like to know, which one do you think is healthiest?
Well, first I'm going to say that I think Mike's taco is actually a burrito when you use it for out there. It's either the largest taco I've ever seen or a burrito.
Oh, wait a second. It says flour. It says burritos. I'm sorry.
No, but in any case, I think they both did awesome. Like I said, I grew up around tacos. I've been all over the world and had them in Mexico and Spain and different Latin-speaking countries. And I think they both did an amazing job. Like Steve mentioned, they're so versatile. And you can use so many different types of ingredients based on your own personal preference, whether it's corn or flour, size of tortilla, the different spices and salsas. It's just a really cool, fun, simple thing that you can make at home.
Love it. And I also love how interactive it is. And just tell us James, from a warrior standpoint, from the veteran's point of view, how could cooking with your family at home impact you?
You know, I think Steve and Mike both touched on this in their intros, was just that social interaction and that sense of community. You know, being around one another with people that you care about, and sharing and cooking and producing a meal that you're going to sit down and consume and have, you know, some laughs and some good conversation over. You know, I would say when you look at the healthiest, longest living peoples in the world, they all cook together, they laugh together, they dance together. There's just a ton of interaction there. And so I think cooking is such an amazing way to bring people together that you care about and share in something that you love.
Oh, I love that. And I love this show. And I want to pitch it back to the Schwabs. Steve, do you have any final thoughts for us about cooking with your family, about partnering with organizations, and about ways we can all support our caregivers and their warriors across the country?
You know, what I want to say, as folks are navigating this new world, which is now, you know, 7 weeks in and kind of feeling like the new normal, appreciate the things that are working out right now, the time that you're having with loved ones, if you are fortunate to be with a loved one, the connections that you're making online. I can't tell you how many Zoom phone calls I've had with people that I've lost connections with, but challenge yourselves to do things a little different, and then hold on to those things when life gets back to normal. I know that the connections that I've forged and the reconnections I've made and the camaraderie on my team and the new ways of serving our population, like Mike and I and our teams have discovered. James mentioned that, you know, these virtual programs are things that we're going to continue. I mean, I'm watching the enthusiasm in this chat room. I'm not seeing every comment, but most of them are really positive. And I think people really, really, really want to be together. You know, our country is rife with divisions, and cooking and recreational activities and mental health and socializing are things we do together. So I'd stress those things, you know, moving forward during these challenge times and even beyond that.
Now, Mike, just to take it back to you, what final thoughts do you have for those joining us from near and far?
Jennifer, I would just echo what Steve said. I mean, the last 8 weeks have certainly been a challenging time. I mean, especially for our warriors and their loved ones, their families, their caregivers. But for every dark cloud, there's usually a silver lining. I will tell you, from our perspective, we're closer now with many people in our lives that we've never been, or we haven't taken the opportunity to be as close as we could be because we've been so busy. Our son and his significant better half came from Turkey for a 5-day visit, and they've been with us for
7 weeks.
7 weeks.
Yeah.
He's in the Army, he's an Army major, and we've absolutely loved it. We probably love it more than he loves it, but we love having him around for 7 weeks. We FaceTime and Zoom chat every night with our daughter, her husband, and their children in Vienna. We didn't do that before COVID. So, you know, those conversations, that time together is important for us. You do have to explain to the 4-year-old why the Easter Bunny put Valentine candy in your basket. You have those kind of conversations, but I'll tell you, they're conversations that you'll remember the rest of your life. So as Steve said, when we get back to normal as a nation, and certainly as a military and veteran and caregiver community, we should harvest what we've learned over these 8 weeks and include that in our daily routine as we go forward, and then really cherish and value the things we love, which is time together and just time as a community helping each other out.
You know, I think that's such a good point, Mike, and what our organizations have learned, what the Elizabeth Dole Foundation has done by bringing virtual offerings to caregivers and customizing them so that, you know, caregivers can have some respite time, if you will, even if it's just in front of their computer, and find ways to connect with their families, but also to integrate collaboration with the Wounded Warrior Project and the VA to talk about how these offerings are so important and how really our lifestyles are changing and the ways that organizations can accommodate that. I have to tell you, the Elizabeth Dole Foundation couldn't be more excited about partnering with Wounded Warrior Project, and so thankful for powering this initiative to connect caregivers through our C3 program and to partner with the VA on this effort to bring special content to caregivers right now when they need it the most. Now, over the coming weeks, I want to let everybody know there are going to be more webinars like this on a variety of topics, and you can give us input. You can let us know what you want to know, what kind of things, what subjects interest you. Just email info@elizabethdolefoundation.org. Any ideas that you have. And we'll be posting a full content calendar on hiddenheroes.org/C3. And we'll be sharing the recipes from today, just as a reminder. Our next episode is Thursday at 4 p.m. Another collaboration. Mike, you'll love this. We're going to be talking to Hope for the Warriors about breathing techniques we can all use to cope with stress. And now, finally, to everyone that joined us today, thank you so much. We'll be emailing you a post-event survey along with those recipes. Thank you to James for providing our healthy expert point of view. And thank you to Matthew for being our resident chef. And I want to say a special thank you to Nancy and Brenda for making your kitchens available to the entire country today for Cinco de Mayo. I'm not sure I'd want somebody to come in my kitchen right now.
It's been a pleasure.
Steve, do you have any final words for our caregivers today?
Just, we're here for you. We're here for you every single day, more now than ever. Reach out, let us know what you need, and we'll stay in close touch.
Well, thanks everyone for joining in. That's all for today's show. Until next time.
Thank you all.
Bye-bye.